Our story is one of choices. Choices that have helped us focus on what matters most to make things better. For 100 years, CIMA has been serving management accountants to take businesses further and make them stronger. Our members are moving from trusted business partners to co-pilots of transformation. But disruptive forces are at work. Businesses are faced with radically new technologies. Their markets are going digital. Their customers growing skeptical. Computers are not far from overtaking human potential. The future of businesses will be decided by the capabilities of finance professionals. Our choice is to power a digital skill set and a future-ready mindset. The ability to learn, unlearn, and relearn, rather than purely technical knowledge, will define a finance professional's future success. We enable management accountants to be navigators of disruption and drivers of trust, opportunity, and prosperity in a complex world. Management accountants will have to be early adopters of new technology, adapt to constant change and evolving business models globally, and move from controlling costs to creating value. Our story is one of choices. We've chosen to lead the transformation beyond insights, beyond limits, beyond expectations. This is the future of finance. Welcome.
With that, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. Bhaskar Ranjan on the stage to deliberate on the topic Competency Development to Face New Business Challenges.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here. This is my hometown. I'm from Calcutta, and I've been in and out of this city over my working life for the last 33 years. It's good to be back, and I am within friends. I met some of my friends from college after 33 years. I met a lot of my acquaintances in my professional life over the last few hours that I've been here. So you must be thinking, what is a finance and accounting body doing in an HR conference? What you saw there is a small video, and what we are seeing today is that this change, this disruption is impacting not just finance people, not just HR people, not just technology people, but every function and every business that is there on this planet. So this is nothing new. It's something we all know. It's something that we are living with in our personal lives, in our professional lives. This is here to stay, and we've heard our esteemed speakers before me talk about this from their perspectives. We know what is driving it. It's geopolitics, it's technology, it's demographic changes. Just to give you an example, for example, in China, because of their policies earlier, one-child policy, etc., one working professional in China will soon end up supporting 10 people in their family. What is the implication on business? What is the implication on people? What is the implication on professions? It's time we started thinking about each of these factors from our own perspective. Customer empowerment, I don't need to say. AI drives what we see, what we hear, what we do, how we spend. And customers today decide whether a company chooses to exist or not. One behavior by one employee on a US airline, what did it do? We saw it in the media. Next day, their market cap fell down by 1 billion. So when Apple had flaws on the iPhone, what did they do? They sent out a improve request from their subscribers. They got over 100,000 suggestions on how to fix the iPhone. And that's what went into the next generation of iPhone. So All this is here to stay, and we know about it. Organizations, we know, are operating on the edge of chaos. But as managers, are we learning how to deal with and operate from this edge of chaos? We are still managing businesses the way we used to manage. All of us use Excel, right? How many of us use pivot tables on Excel? A few. How many of us learned how to use pivot tables from YouTube? So knowledge now is here on demand, and we need it when we want it. We don't need to learn something for use in the future, which is what our conventional university models have taught us. University models are going out of fashion. And if universities and learning institutions don't change, they will find lesser and lesser traction from business. What do next-gen customers want? Here's a simple snapshot of what next-gen customers want from a banking or a payment system. They want invisible, frictionless payments. Take anybody who uses Ola, Uber, etc. We just don't want cash. We want to have this frictionless payment system. We want wealth advice. How do we maximize our savings? Where do we get it from? Who's the advisor? We want convenience at our fingertips. We don't want the inconvenience of carrying cash, credit cards, sometimes even a phone. The next generation of wearables will take care of this. Our spending habits defines customer loyalty in a totally new way. No longer can you say, I want loyal customers for the next decade. We won't get it. The YOLO generation wants the best deal now. Tomorrow they'll go to whoever's giving you the best deal tomorrow. So it will have to redefine customer loyalty for organizations. Those of us in customer-facing organizations know this. The whole security during transactions is something which is granted. They don't want to think about it. You have one insecure incident in a consumer's life, you've lost that consumer forever. And of course, everything has to be 24/7. The focus shift, and my previous speaker spoke about it, today we pay for experience. So it's moved from product to service to experience. My son doesn't want to buy a car. He would rather use Ola, Uber. He doesn't want the hassle of managing it. He doesn't want the hassle of owning it, servicing it, maintaining it. And we are all moving there. But are organizations moving there? Are we geared up to move there? And it needs to be done rapidly, dynamically, and proactively. We need to now anticipate what's going to happen, what's going to come. Again, 5 generations of consumers in the workplace. When we think usually from our level of experience. We think from our knowledge levels. How many of us have millennials in our boardrooms? It's not possible to think like a millennial without getting their inputs into our strategy. And of course, automation. The biggest disruptor is automation. Years ago, when the double-sided printer or the double-sided copier was invented, who do you think was impacted the most? A normal answer would be paper manufacturers, because people would now consume less paper. But the impact was felt most by courier companies. So today you don't know where your competition is going to come from, who is going to disrupt your business. And as HR people in this room, I think HR needs to be now cognizant of the business. It's not only about people. You have to understand where your next threat can come from, because only then will you be able to source talent and develop competencies for it. So this is automation, automobile manufacturing plant 10 years ago. And this is the same plant today. How will HR deal with this? How will you have a sourcing strategy or a recruitment strategy to address this? What kind of skills would you hire for? So these are problems and challenges which every business today is grappling with. And organization structures, they used to look like this. strategic, management, and operational, because that's your think, plan, and do. And now, interestingly, the shape of the function is changing. First, it got segregated. We outsourced a part of the business function. So some part of HR got outsourced. Then automation kicked in. So another part of the function got outsourced. Now it looks like a diamond. And for some of us, it also looks like a coffin shape. And we don't know what kind of shape this will take in the future. But the fact is, this is the scope that it also presents. The middle tier is where we need to expand, because one part will go away to outsourcing, one part will go away to technology and automation. We need to expand the middle tier. And what will this middle tier do? So if you look at it, this is where we will analyze and have specialist skills being developed. The third tier is where we will partner with the business. No longer can we operate in isolation from the business. We'll have to understand the business. And this is not just true for HR. This is true for finance, this is true for IT, this is true for every function in the organization. And going forward, we see a convergence as well. There will be a blurring of lines. And if you want to lead the organization, like Dr. Ganji said, you'll have to have skills which are rounded, 360 degrees from all angles. You need to understand the business from many dimensions, not just what you're good at. What is the role of HR now is to narrate, create, preserve, and narrate the value story for the organization. And how can we do that? HR needs to pick up skills in finance, skills in technology. Does it mean we'll need to start knowing debit credit? Maybe not. Does it mean we'll have to interpret the balance sheet figures better? Maybe yes. Does it mean that we'll have to learn programming? Maybe not. But does it mean that we need to understand what we want out of technology? What do we want out of analytics? What do we want out of blockchain? Yes, perhaps. The other thing about value is it's getting from tangible to intangible. So 83% of any company's balance sheet used to be in tangible assets. Today, only 16% is in tangible assets. A lot of an organization's value is intangible. We know this. This is happening to us. So Uber in Malaysia shut shop in 7 days. And they sold their business to a local company called Grab. They were able to do it because only 16% of their tangible assets needed to be dealt with. But does it make your life simpler? It doesn't, because you still have to deal with 84% of intangible assets. And if you want that business to run, then you have to have a grip on this. So how do you measure, how do you value intangibles? There's a whole new learning out there. Sorry. And the world is moving from this. From what happened, the past, why did it happen, the analysis of the past, to what can happen and how can we make things happen differently. This is where we need to move to. We are somewhere in the middle right now. We are at the insight space today with some analytics thrown in, etc. We have some insights into how this is moving. But we definitely have to get into the foresight bit, which is anticipation. And of course, we spoke about this. You need to narrate the value story. And it's not only within the organization. Today, our companies and our businesses have many stakeholders that we need to cater to. We can't work and address only one of them. We don't know where that threat is going to come from, which will impact our business. So how does HR work to do this? HR has to work to enable through control. I'll give you a simple example. This is a very fast car. It's a Formula 1 car. Would you ride this car if it had very good brakes or if it had faulty brakes? The answer is obvious. You would ride this car if it had very good brakes. which means you need to enable it and control it rather than stop firms and businesses from taking action. How do you enable it is like you have to ensure that the firm can move quickly, that the firm can make mistakes quickly and learn quickly and move back. So that is the role which HR would play, along with the other functions. Nothing works in isolation anymore. You would have to work in a way that you enable organizations are moving forward, taking quick decisions, learning to fail fast, and coming back to a different track if you need to do so. So use your controls to enable action and not stop them. How do you define strategic value? So I'll give you a small example. Project management worldwide is a failure. How is it a failure? From the results. 95% of all projects get delayed worldwide. Yet there are a few organizations who have cracked it. Some intuitively, some with some systems help as well. Our Delhi Metro Corporation is one of the examples where every project they have taken has completed well before time. Mr. Sridharan, if some of you know him, is considered to be the father of project management. Small example, how and what policies does he use? And he did it intuitively. So if I was traveling from the airport to this hotel, and if I had a flat tire, it would take me roughly about 30 minutes to fix it. Change the tire, get the new tire on, and if I have a flat stepney, then God save me. Right? Now the same action of changing a flat tire takes 8 seconds in a Formula 1 race. The action is the same. You're changing a flat tire or you're changing a faulty tire. Now see the scale of difference. 30 minutes, 8 seconds. What does it mean? It means you have systems in place where you're able to concentrate the resources when you want it, where you want it. Ask any project manager and they will tell you, I'm short of resources. Some of the best project companies in India have the financial muscle power to throw in all the resources they want on a delayed project to recover time. Not always does this work. So you build systems which allows you to develop competencies and skill sets which you need to deploy when you want them and where you want them, which is just in time. So your learning has to be just in time, your deployment has to be just in time, your synchronization of resources has to be just in time for your projects to be successful. HR now needs to understand business like never before. Earlier, HR was into doing multiple functions, all of which were adding value, but somewhere organizations felt that HR is not a strategic value partner. I think HR deserves a place at the table, and HR deserves to be in a piece of the business strategy going forward. It no longer works in isolation. It works with the business, and it uses the insight to create influence and impact. This is the direction of HR. And this is where communication across the organization needs to be transparent, insightful, and impactful. Competencies. What competencies and skills do you plan for in a disruptive world? It's very, very difficult. Technologies are coming. Many of these we are aware of. Some of these we are not. Where is your organization currently on the technology adoption curve? And you will be able to judge for yourself where your organization is. Cloud is something which was there 10, 12, 14 years ago. Cloud is today, a lot of companies out there have a late majority adoption. I mean, they have been doing it for the last 10 years. Blockchain or cognitive computing, on the other hand, is an early adopter. So are your companies adopting these technologies? I can speak from experience where I was talking to a colleague of mine who used to be in IBM, and she was saying that blockchain was earlier a buzzword. Everybody was talking about it. Nobody was kind of serious about it. Today, in the last 6 months, saying there are 110 companies in India who have started their pilots on blockchain. The elections. There are countries today who are conducting elections on blockchain. Estonia, if you know, conducted their first ever online election, and they use blockchain. Today, we have the technology in India. We're not deploying it. That's a different reason. We won't get into that. But yes, and it impacts every business. People think that it's only for banking and secure financial transactions. No. This can impact the food that you have. This can impact the clothes that you wear. It impacts every business from start to finish. So people or machine? There are no obvious answers. There are jobs and functions where people are best. There are jobs and functions where machines will do it far better than human beings. And there are jobs and functions like a surgeon, for example. A surgeon conducting a robotic surgery will need the precision of the robotic machine and his technical knowledge to do the operation. So some jobs will need people and machine interaction. So we should not fight for those jobs which are transactional. Let those go. Let the machines do them. They are best at doing that. This is what, see, automation by itself is not disruptive. But automation coupled with AI is a cause for major disruptions. And if you see, this is a small slide on what AI does. And there are so many facets of AI. We talk of AI very loosely. But there are, each of these is a research area. And each of these can actually differentiate the way businesses run, the way perceptions of consumers are run, and the way people behave. For example, there are elements of AI there which will, from the sound of your, or the tone of your voice, let's say you are a CFO talking at a AGM, from there they will analyze and say whether he's talking with confidence or he's bluffing. So these are considerations that we need to take into going forward, people or machine, or maybe both. But the hardest part, and this is where HR comes in, is digitally transforming an organization is not about technology. It's about mind. And this is where influence, mind comes in. And this is where HR needs to work to understand where the next level of competencies are going to come from. We've heard this from Dr. Ganji as well. It's no longer about strategy. Organization trying to build a culture, and behavior is therefore the key. We today at CIMA are 100 years old. We're celebrating our 100th year. Obviously, we've been doing something right in terms of transforming our organization as we've gone through. There aren't too many companies on the Fortune 100 or even the 500 which are 100 years old. It means you need to anticipate, you need to build the skill sets, you need to look forward. And you need to combine competencies in whichever business or profession you're in. Technical skills are fine, but technical skills will last you only so much. Business skills are important, but then people and leadership skills. And now, digital skills. You can't have competencies without digital skills. So we have a competency framework. We've built a tool set to measure competency levels within an organization. This is done through our research, which is why, being a management accounting body, we are here at an HR conference. We like to work with people and organizations, conduct our research, and share with you what are the competency levels within your organization, what levels do you need to bridge, and what competencies you need to build. This is what our research is global, including companies in India. We bring it to you. We'd like to partner with you and take part in our journey forward. There's going to be a huge displacement of jobs, but it doesn't mean that with the right kind of competencies and skill sets, if we are able to bring them to the table, it doesn't mean that there has to be loss of jobs. Mindsets, we need to act quickly and learn, unlearn, and relearn as we go along. As a body, we have more than 2/3 of a million members and students across the world. We take pride in what we do, and we bring this to your table. Thank you. That's all from me this afternoon.
Thank you, Mr. Das. May I request you to kindly stay back on the stage for a while? And at this point of time, can I please request Mr. K.K. Mahapatra to kindly hand over a memento as a token of our gratitude to Mr. Das. A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.